Stop! Be gentle! That's a real sensitive area!
That's a special pinning technique, right?
No!
After losing his clan to a mysterious person, our protagonist Tor decides to enroll in a prestigious academy. Within this academy there are wielders of a power called Blaze. The Blaze summons a weapon in relation to the soul. When Tor reveals his blaze at the entrance ceremony, people erupt, for he is an irregular with a weapon never seen before. Welcome to Absolute Duo, where we are introduced to a young man who engages with a girl in battle. Unable to deal with her intense aura, he tells the girl, Julie, to stop. The man starts his attack and an explosion erupts on the battlefield. Later that week, the male is seen looking at that same girl under a cherry blossom tree. He is spotted by another girl who offers to walk him around the campus. As they get closer to the Colosseum, the girl decides to introduce herself as Imari, a freshman at the campus. The man introduces himself as Tor, and the two start their friendship. Upon arriving at their school's opening ceremony, they are greeted by a young lady greeting them. She is the Academy President Sakuya. Sakuya announces that they will begin their first test, battling their partner. Sakuya tells the students that only the victor of the duel will be allowed to enter the academy. Sakuya protests this decision, knowing that Tor is strong. The principal tells her that the decision is final, and there are no switching partners. Sakuya apologizes to Tor, confident in her own skill. For the first fight in the contest, the white-haired girl engages in battle with her classmate, showing her strength. More students begin to summon their swords and show their power. Sakuya and Tor, however, still haven't begun their fight, but Sakuya initiates it. She tells Tor she can't cut him any more slack, and she summons her weapon. Sakuya tells Tor to summon his weapon, or else she will end it before he has the chance. Tor avoids her attack and notices how strong Sakuya is. He continues dodging until he eventually stops her from landing a hit until he is interrupted. Someone sends in an attack, but Tor blocks it with his own weapon, revealing he has a shield. Sakuya questions how he has a shield rather than a weapon, and Tor explains he is an irregular. Sakuya charges in, hoping to win her admission, but Tor stops her, him having his own reasons. Tor overpowers her and punches her stomach, ending their battle. Before we continue, let's take a moment to answer the question of the day. How would you feel if you finally landed a chick, but the principal told you two to fight? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Now back to the recap. The principal checks her stopwatch and announces that only the people who have won thus far are allowed in. After the battle, Sakuya tells Tor he needs to prove his strength and stop holding back. She congratulates Tor for gaining his admission and tells him goodbye after their short-lived friendship. After finishing business with her, Tor walks to his dorm, but is stopped by one of Tor's old friends, Tora. He tells Tora that now that they are enrolled in the school, they are the principal's playthings. Tora tells Tor that the academy is essentially a big research facility. Tor tells him to hurry up and he rushes to class. After finding his seat, he watches as a white-haired beauty enters the class. She walks over to Tor and takes a seat next to him, acting like she knows him. The girl continues to stare at Tor, showing she obviously has an interest in him. When Tor attempts to talk to her, however, she looks away, avoiding his glance. Suddenly, a girl dressed in a bunny outfit jumps through the window and introduces herself as their teacher, Rito. Despite this strange event, the girl continues to stare at Tor, making him wonder what her problem is. Rito breaks the tension and tells members of the class to introduce themselves. Various members introduce themselves until Tor goes and the teacher calls him an irregular. The white-haired girl finally introduces herself, telling the class she is Julie. During class, Rito tells the class the rules of the school. Every student needs to find a duo to pair up with and fight throughout their student life. She explains that after school they will work in duos, so they practice it beforehand at school. Rito informs the class that in 1 week their partner will be chosen for them. She tells the class that the person sitting next to them will be their partner, so Tor is paired with Julie. Everyone starts freaking out, specifically Tor, thinking about how Julie will not only be his partner, but also his roommate. Tor tries to get into Tora's room, but he tells Tor to man up and face her. Eventually, Tor grows the balls to go inside the room, but to his surprise it seems empty. Right when he thinks the coast is clear, Julie walks out of the bathroom in only a shirt. Tor stares at her body and jumps away embarrassingly. He decides to reintroduce himself, but Julie tells him she already knows him. She explains that she is from a distant nation that worships Thor as their god, making Tor's name easy to remember. Tor asks her why she was staring at him all day, and Julie explains she is interested in him. Julie advances closer to him, leading him on until he is backed into a corner. To Tor's surprise, Julie explains that she likes his techniques and it's not what he was thinking. Tor tells her that it puts too much of a strain on his body and she would be unable to perform the move. Julie becomes tired and falls asleep into Tor's lap before even making it to the bed. Tor tries to think what to do, eventually just picking her up and placing her in her bed. After tucking her in, he decides to call it a night himself, ending his chaotic first day of school. The next morning to Tor's, he wakes up to Julie lying beside him in his bed. She wakes up and acts like nothing is out of the blue and gets out of bed. During their lunch break, Tor overhears various rumours flying around regarding him being an irregular. Later on during their lunch, two girls approach Tor asking to sit with him. They introduce themselves as Tachibana and Hotaka and ask Tor why he is only eating meat. Tor tells her that's just what he likes and he looks over at Hotaka, making her embarrassed. Tachibana explains to Tor that she is worried about Julia and him, asking if they are okay with sharing a dorm. Julie tells them that she is fine with it and that Tor gently embarrassed her. Tor denies it, but the girls don't believe him, so they beat him up. At their class the next day, Rito explains to the class more about their powers. The weapon they use is called a blaze. A blaze contains the power within their soul. Rito calls out Tor suddenly, telling the class that he is getting it on with Julie. The class erupts and Tor tells Julie what embrace really means. The teacher continues explaining to the class, calling on various people to do random things. One of these being a strong man who answers her question with a flex. Rito somehow understands his flex and tells the class if they don't train, they will become weak. If they aren't strong enough to pass the final exam, they will be expelled. Later that day, Tachnibana goes to apologize to Tor for the misunderstanding. Tor tells her that she is making it even worse, bowing down to him in front of the class. When Tachibana tries to stand up, she ends up landing on Tor's crotch and getting a sniff. She tries to move out the way, but ends up moving Tor into missionary. Julie approaches and asks Tor if that's a new technique she can practice with them. Tachnibana tells her that Tor is her man when they engage in battle. With both sides showing strong martial arts techniques, it's hard to choose who will win. During their fight, Tor tells his friend Tora that after the week is over, he wants to pick him as his partner. After finishing the battle, Julie and Tachibana both compliment each other's skills. Hotaka then approaches and offers the duo towels each. After drying themselves off, they watch amazed as Tor and Tora fight each other. Later that night, Julie takes a shower and Tor decides to wait outside for her. After she finishes, Tor asks Julie about how she got so strong. She tells him that she is self-taught and she asks Tor how he got strong. Tor explains that growing up him and Tora always trained together in a dojo. They then go to school for the next few days, repeating the same cycle over and over. After one of the school days, Tora notices Tor outside the school gate and asks why he is waiting for Julie again. Tora tells him he spends too much time with her and walks away. As he walks off, Tor reminds him tomorrow is the day of the partner selection, but he shows some hostility. After finding Julie, Tor asks her who she will be choosing for her official duo. Julie tells him that she will ask Tachibana, but isn't sure if she will accept. They continue to talk, and Julie reminds him of the first time they saw each other under the cherry blossoms. Later that night, Tor goes to sleep and finds Julia in his bed again. He attempts to pull away, but Julie grabs hold of him, calling her dad's name out in her dream. At the selection place, Tor notices Julia asking Tachibana to be her partner. They continue walking around until they go back to the selection office to put in their application. The clerk tells them they need to pledge to each other, but when they are about to do it, Tor notices Hotaka with Tachibana. She reveals that Tachibana has been planning to partner up with Hotaka all along, leaving Julie without a partner. Tor recognizes what he needs to do, so he apologizes to Tora and looks around for Julie. He searches every classroom and dorm in the school, but is unable to find her, so he runs around aimlessly. After arriving in a park, he looks up at the clock tower and somehow knows that Julie will be waiting for him at the top. After arriving at the top, Tor asks her why she didn't tell him that Tachibana rejected him. He tells her that he wants to partner up with her and become an official duo. Julie tries to make excuses to get Tor to reconsider, but he persists and tells Julie he wants to protect her. Julie is hesitant, but she accepts after Tor makes a final push to convince her. The two take their pledge to work together as a duo until they die. The next day, everyone looks at Tor with envy, him securing the cutest girl in class. The teacher then announces to everyone that will participate in a school-wide mock battle. Julie and Tor prepare for this by sparring with each other every day. Yet again, Julie wins, making it another loss for Tor and her fourth consecutive win. Tor shares with her that he has an issue dealing enough damage, him having only a shield. Julie explains some martial art techniques to Tor that could help improve his style. Tor tries out said move and unleashes it against a tree, blasting away its surface. Tor remembers the time when he used this attack at the beginning and doesn't want to harm anyone with it again. He goes back home but then goes to the track for some reason, just in time to find Hotaka. He then takes it upon himself to carry her, and when she tries to get off, he doesn't let her. She eventually stops screaming and asks Tor how she passed out. Tor explains to her that he just happened to be there at the perfect time to save her. Hotaka shares with him that she was training super hard, not wanting to hold Tachibana back. Hotaka shares that with all these amazing people around like Julie or Tor, she feels weak. Tor assures her that wanting to be stronger isn't a bad thing, but pushing yourself too hard is. After giving her some advice, Tor dreams about when his clan was murdered by a single man. The next day, it is time for the first mock battle between all of the duos. They go over their strategy. Torblock and Julie attack everything in their path. Following this, they summon their blazes and dance around in circles. Suddenly a girl duo approaches them but are defeated instantly. After this, Julie and Tor continue to go on battling various duos, showing none of them mercy. They eventually look at the time and realize they only have to survive for one more hour. Tor suggests they go somewhere new, suggesting the school. They go inside and are greeted by a flying spear sent by Tachibana. She compliments them for dodging her previous attack and sends in another, giving Tor no time to attack. She continues to swing her little chain around, calling for Hotaka to join in. Hotaka then summons a huge spear and rushes towards Tor and Julie. Tor hands Tachibana off to Julie and decides he will handle Hotaka. She charges in and tries to knock him down with her spear, but Tor blocks it with his shield. She then falls over defeated after not receiving any attack on her. Tachibana and Julie, on the other hand, are actually fighting, Julie in particular putting on the pressure. With immense speed, Julie blocks Tachibana's incoming attack and dashes forward, ending the fight. With only a little bit more time, Tor suggests they go find Tora for their final fight. Upon investigating the campus, they find Tora and his partner passed out on the floor. Tor wakes Tora up and asks what happened, to which he tells Tor to watch out for Rito. Rito strikes at them, but her attack is evaded by Tor. They question why she is attacking them, to which she explains it's to give them a real challenge. Julie blocks her next attack and attempts to push her back, but gets a lecture instead. Rito picks up Tora's blaze and destroys it, damaging his soul. Having still not explained herself, Tor questions his teacher what her motive behind this is. She ignores his question and rushes in, pushing Julie back. Tor tries to counterattack, but he is handled by Rito with ease. Right before Rito finishes off Julie, Tor runs in the middle, blocking her attack. Rito says something that the man in Tor's dream said, and this angers him, pushing him past his limits. However, Rito dodges his attack easily and knocks him back through a classroom. Julie tries to think of a plan with him, telling him they need to work together. Rito walks up ready to kill them both, but she is stopped by Julie standing in front of Tor. Tor then gets up and rushes towards Rito, doing no damage and only being able to block. Tor continues to just block, and he tells Julie not to interfere despite him having no way to deal damage. Rito then tells him it's over, but Tor tells her that he won't give up because he loves Julie. Before she can land a hit, Julie comes and blocks Rito's attack, giving Tor an opportunity to destroy Rito's blaze. The next morning, the two celebrate over a cup of coffee, having defeated their teacher. While they are talking, Julie walks over to Tor to check on his injuries, but she slips, landing on his lap. Right when this happens, Tachibana and Hotaka walk in, questioning what's going on. On the other hand, a blonde girl is seen emerging from a pool, telling her assistant to make the preparations for something. Tor remembers a dream he had and rolls over to feel something flat rather than his soft bed. He realizes Julie is laying with him, and he puts his hand on her chest to try and wake her up. After waking her up, he gets nervous and rolls off the bed, banging his head on the ground. Tor tries to apologize for having his hand on her chest, but Julie apologizes instead, telling him it's her fault for sneaking into his bed. Later that day, they walk to school, where they find Tachibana and Hotaka. With these four, they arrive at school and talk to Tora, hoping to find the teacher's motive. Tora explains to Tora that Tachibana and Hotaka came and helped save them the other day. Following this, somehow the teacher walks into class, totally fine. After going inside, all the students walk over to her, attempting to scare her. Rito tells them that the principal rehired her so they can't protest. Tor objects to the principal's decision, but she explains that he already defeated her, so why can't he do it again? The principal tells them that no matter the means, she will do anything to ensure they become strong. She also informs the students that soon they will have another test like the previous one. They head back to class and listen to Rito's lecture despite her trying to kill them yesterday. Suddenly, in the middle of class, the same blonde girl from earlier enters the class and approaches Tor. She gets real close to him and tells him to follow her. Tor tries to stop her, but the girl gets approval from the teacher, showing she is someone of power. Tor agrees, seeing no other option available. After agreeing to follow her, the girl introduces herself as Lilith, a transfer student from overseas. Lilith and Tor walk into a garden where prepared for them is a large variety of sweets. Tor tries the tea and is amazed by how good it is, wishing Julie could prepare tea like that. Lilith cuts to the chase and tells Tor that starting today she will be his new duo partner. Tor explains that he already has a partner, but Lilith tells him that she is also an irregular. Lilith tells him that she came all the way just to be his partner. Tor explains that he is already bound to the pledge, but Lilith assures him that it's alright, her being an exception. Lilith asks for his answer again, and Tor explains that he doesn't want to team with her or break up with Julie. Later that night, Rito punishes Tor for skipping class, so she forces him to run laps. Tor then goes to his dorm and gets in the bath, hoping to relax. After his bath, the two share some tea, and Julie asks him to sleep together again. Tor begins to blush and tries to redirect the conversation, asking if she wants to go on a trip. Julie tells him if they go somewhere, then first she needs to go shopping. Tor celebrates, thinking he changed the subject, but she meets him at his bunk. They head into town to a shopping mall, hoping to find some clothes for the summer. Tor reveals that he asked Hotaka about what to do, and she gave him all the secret spots. They arrive at the mall, and Julie gets swept away by grade schoolers. Tor saves her, grabbing her hand in the process, bringing the two a little closer. While they walk through the mall, everyone stares at the duo, noticing how pretty Julie is. Julie asks to go into a certain store where she tries on a white dress. Tor approves of it, and Julie goes on a spree, trying on various outfits and buying them all. After trying on 20 different outfits, Julie pays for them and leaves the store. They continue looking around the mall, eventually stumbling upon a food court where they get some ice cream. Tor tells Julie that Hotaka specifically recommended this place, so it should be good. The two then compliment their ice creams, and Julie asks Tor for a bite of his. He tries to resist giving her a bite, but he folds under her intense stare. After feeding her, Julie reminds him it's her turn now, to which he tries to resist. Tor eventually folds under the pressure again and takes a bite, but notices Julie acting strange. He tests her and realizes his rum raisin ice cream got her drunk somehow. Watching from afar is Tachibana and Hotaka, who are approached by some thugs, asking to hang out. They tell them they are good, but the thugs persist, trying to guilt them into hanging out. Tachibana stands up for Hotaka, but they stop once Tor emerges as the hero. Tor tells all of the thugs to stop, but he is interrupted when someone begins shooting the thugs. Tor turns around and sees Lilith using a gun to shoot all of the thugs. The following day at school, Tachibana and Hotaka ask Tor about Lilith's blaze. Julie explains that it should be impossible to have a rifle, blazes only being non-complex weapons. Lilith cleans her gun as she looks down at various pictures she has of Tor. On the other hand, Tachibana is showing off to her class, doing flips in the water. Recently, Tor was upgraded to level 2, making him much stronger than a majority of his class. While everyone is training, Tor is flirting with Hotaka, offering a hand out of the water. Hotaka tells Tor that she probably won because he was cheering her on. Tachibana comes and interrupts their conversation, telling Hotaka that she won because she leveled up. While most of the students are wearing the standard school outfit, their teacher approaches wearing something super lewd. Tor's eyes are caught elsewhere, however, when he watches Julie dive into the pool. After some time, they start to wonder where Julie is, her not emerging out of the water after diving. Tor jumps in and saves her, but she turns out fine, explaining that she is just a bit slow at swimming. Tor then spawns in a towel and gives it to Julie, drying her off. After seeing Julie receive this treatment, Hotaka wishes she didn't know how to swim. While walking home, Tor spots Lilith drinking tea out in a garden, so he comes and says hello. He asks why she hasn't been coming to school, to which she tells him she doesn't need it. Tor tells her even if she is super smart, she won't make any friends always being alone. Lilith thanks Tor for worrying about her, but she tells him she is fine. Tor tries to ask a question, but Lilith tells him if he wants an answer, he needs to follow her. Right when she says this, a helicopter approaches from above. Everyone in class, on the other hand, is waiting for Tor to arrive before they start class. While everyone thinks something is wrong, Tor is simply enjoying an amusement park with Lilith. Lilith tells Tor that since she was a child, she has dreamt of coming here. The two then walk further into the park while Tor tries to escape. They eventually arrive at a volcanic ride, making it seem like the most exciting ride ever. After this, they find the amusement park's mascot, and they go hug him gracefully. After this, they take pictures which wear Tor out to the max. The two of them sit on a bench taking a break until Lilith suggests another ride, On this one, the two of them are given laser blasters in which they need to kill the ghosts. While Tor sucks with the gun and continues to miss, Lilith nails that target. Lilith explains that ever since she was a child she has been around guns. Lilith explains that her weapon comes from her soul, having grown up around guns. After they finish this ride, they finally decide to head home, seeing fireworks as they walk out. Being satisfied with their fun, Lilith answers Tor's question finally. Tor asks why she uses her blaze the other day, and she explains to prove her worth to him. Lilith continues to explain that no one in the world is compatible for her except for Tor. Lilith compares Tor to a knight, wielding his shield, and she asks Tor to be her duo yet again. Tor denies her yet again, despite having a fun time at the amusement park. Later that night, Julie is seen waiting for Tor until she sees him trying to sneak back into the dorms. The two exchange greetings, then Tor rushes over and hides alongside Julie. While staying still, Tor glances down at Julie's body, making him blush a bit. She asks what he was doing all day, and Tor explains he was on a date with Lilith. Tor tells her that although she asked to be his duo and showed him a good time, he didn't fold. When Lilith asked him to be her duo, all Tor could think of was Julie. Lilith gets angry after being denied a second time and slaps him. Tor explains to Julie that she has been pestering him recently, but he will never leave her. Julie sees Tor's compassion and thanks him for not leaving her. They eventually head back inside, but not without Julie clinging onto Tor. While this is happening, Hotaka thinks about Tor, revealing she has feelings for him. The next day, Rito announces to the class that soon they will have a battle against second-year students. She explains that they won't be fighting as a duo, but rather a class as a whole. Following this, they go and watch some of the second year's trains. Rito explains that they are all about as strong as she is, being level 2 or 3. Watching over the second year's train, everyone seems confident in their skill, sure of a victory. Suddenly interrupting the training session is Lilith, telling the second years she will take them down herself. They tell her she's crazy, but Lilith shoots one of the second years to prove she is serious. Starting the fight, a girl with a bow is seen shooting towards Lilith. After hitting her target, Lilith catches the arrow and takes her out immediately. Following pursuit, more second years attempt to bring her down with their blazes. Lilith continues to walk around the school, looking for competition until she stumbles upon Tor. Lilith shows hostility towards Tor, telling him if he won't be her duo, she will win without one. Before they engage in battle, they talk a bit first, Tor specifically bowing his head while apologizing to Lilith. Tor tells Lilith that once she battles full power against him, she will see why he denied her. Lilith, unsure of how he will damage her, tells her they should just fight already. She fires multiple bullets at Tor, but thanks to his shield it is no problem blocking. While Lilith continues to try and suppress Tor, he keeps blocking the incoming attacks. Someone rushes in and attempts to catch Lilith off guard, but she dodges with ease. Once they thought they cornered her, Lilith jumps down 3 levels and shows no hesitation. Everyone else follows suit, jumping down to the bottom level until Hotaka jumps and falls over. Tor goes and helps her, but Tachibana ruins their moment, telling them Lilith is up ahead. They go over their plan, hoping to trap Lilith in the corner of the facility. The group split into 2 and march towards the area in which Lilith is awaiting. While Tor and the others approach, they see a sea of bodies, showing the fight is already over. Suddenly emerging from the ground is Lilith, who knocks down one of their teammates. Lilith and Tor then engage in battle, but Tor is easily overpowered by Lilith's techniques. Julie sees Tor being embarrassed, so she charges in, hoping to end it for him. Lilith, however, stops her attack and counters, throwing her into the roof. Eventually, Tachibana and the others arrive, taking Julie to a safe location and leaving everyone else to die. Despite having many more people, Tor's group is unable to suppress Lilith, making them rethink their plan. Tachibana asks Tor if he has any ideas on how to defeat her, but he is clueless. Not only is Lilith good at mid-long range, she holds her own against anyone else in close range as well. Tor remembers their fight and thinks of something that could help take down Lilith. He meets up with Julie despite having an assigned location, and they talk about their plan. Julie tells Tor that she feels unfit to be his duo, having lost to Lilith. Tor comforts her and tells Julie that he wants to protect her until the end. Interrupting their conversation is Lilith, who tells them to stay alert at all times. Lilith tells Tor that she came just like Tor asked. While waiting for the incoming attack, Lilith tells Tor that he needs to take the fight seriously, for it is the last fight. Tora emerges, joining the battle, but he falls short of Julie's attacks. Lilith pushes Julie back and counters, but is stopped by Tora rushing in. Following Tora's defeat, Tor then runs in hoping to deal some damage, but he is put down as well. Right when all seems lost, Tor unveils his secret attack, smashing the ground and forcing Lilith into the air. Everyone charges towards her, hoping to land an attack, but Lilith evades them all. She overpowers Julie and stands before Tor, asking if that was his best. Tor tells her that he knew this would happen, queuing for Julie to slice her blaze. After taking her out, Lilith questions Julie on how she survived her attack, and Tor reveals he put his shield on Julie. Despite cutting her blaze in half, Lilith refuses to give up, facing off against Tor. Suddenly Tor is shot in the arm by a real bullet and a group emerges. They tell Lilith she fought well, but they are taking over now. The leader of the group takes his helmet off and tells Lilith she has an invitation from the weapon master. Lilith tells the man she doesn't want to dance with anyone weaker than her, so the man shoots her. Tora and Julie then rush towards the men, hoping to take them out, but they are stopped with ease. The man tells Tor that not only have exceptions surpassed humanity's limits, but he has as well. He rushes towards Hotaka, holding her hostage, forcing Lilith to fold. While walking away, Lilith apologizes to Tor for being unable to finish their battle. Following this, Tor announces to the group that their first priority should be retrieving Lilith. While walking out of the mall, Tor somehow teleports ahead of them, demanding they return Lilith. Lilith knows his strength, so she tells him to go away. The perpetrator interrupts this and orders his men to shoot Tor. Tor blocks the attacks with his shield and slams his fist into the ground. At first nothing happens, but after a moment the ground shakes and the stair collapses, giving Lilith a chance to escape. While falling, Tor asks Lilith to help them fight, so she summons her gun. Hoping to be involved, Tor grabs her gun and shoots the man in her stead. Following this, Lilith thanks Tor for saving her and they finish their fight. Although they stopped him, the man emerges from the rubble unscathed, telling his boss that he failed his mission. His boss tells him that his real goal is someone else, not Lilith. The following day, Lilith goes to visit Tor in the hospital, telling him they can be friends. After thanking him for saving her, Lilith apologizes for slapping him the other day. She turns around to the others, asking one last time if she can switch with Julie and be his duo. Julie runs to his side and shows they are nowhere close to splitting up. Lilith then tells Tor she needs to tell him a secret, and she sneaks in a kiss, proclaiming he will be her future husband.